Welcome back to Frightening Frauen. We're back!
Woo!
Tyler and Lee and Ember.
Woo!
Woo! And we invited her back to talk about some things that we had to kind of glide over the last time because it's really in depth and I think pertinent to a lot of people and things that have gone on in their lives. So,
Well, that and I had actual requests
mhm.
because my social media following, a lot of them fit in this category that we're going to talk about. And it's not talked about very
Mm-mm.
much, especially from the mom side. It's very societal, known from the dad side, but it is not known from the mom side. And that topic is parental alienation. So I am a parental alienation survivor. My story, am I just jumping in?
Yeah, go for it. Jump
Oh,
in.
we're just gonna go. My story starts in 2016. But I actually want to touch on that for a super fast second to let everyone know that the process of parental alienation actually starts before the breakup ever happens. Um, in all of the everything that I've listened to, read, been taught by professionals, everything else, because I went on a huge learning journey because I needed to understand because of I hey got autistic traits. I needed to learn everything that there was to know about what I was going through so that I could understand what I was going through. Because when I was going through this, yeah, I didn't have TikTok. I didn't have the resources that we have now. Um, so I didn't have the community that is available. They better not get rid of TikTok. That's all I have to say. Anyways, um, we didn't have the community that we do now. So anyways, parental alienation starts by the targeted or the alienating parent talking badly about the other parent to the children, like setting the, like if they were to ever break up, well, remember all those bad things, like remember I talked to you about that stuff. So then it makes the divide a whole lot easier. Looking back at my journey that started in 2016, like I said, I can tell you that my ex-husband, which last podcast, y'all, I did this thing where I tried switching up names. I don't even know why, because I have that shit blasted everywhere. So there's no reason for me to have to do those mental gymnastics. So Francis in last episode, I guess, is Tom. His name is Tom. Anyways, so Tom would, hi girl. My dog is here saying hi. Um he would talk badly about me, to especially our middle child, because she was always kind of the daddy's girl, right? Like they like they just always got each other. But see, here's the thing. My ex-husband plays a lot of video games, and one of the best ways to connect with children is video games. I don't like this stuff, right? Like I have childhood trauma from video games because that's all my mom did was play video games. Sit on her ass, drink Pepsi, and smoke cigarettes. That was my mom's existence, and beat me, whatever. So I don't like video games. He did, the kids did. So that was like their thing. And not only that, I'm not I don't know how to play. Like I've just never been like that imaginative play type of kid. Um yeah, I don't know. So it made it so that they were able to bond a whole lot better than what I was able to bond with her, simply based off of their likes, dislikes, preferences, stuff like that. Um, so that like set the ground so that when the process of him and I breaking up, the actual parental alienation was easier to happen. So here's how it goes. Um, In 2015, we're from Tucson, Arizona. That's where my ex-husband and I met each other. We raised our kids here. He got a job promotion in Chelan, Washington. Is that me?
That was me.
Oh, okay. Um, he got a job promotion to Chelan, Washington. So in November of 2015, we loaded up the family on a U-Haul. We took off to Chelan, Washington. But by January of 2016, he had already hired the woman that he was going to be having the affair with. Looking back at his history, he has he was in management positions a lot, and he tend to hire the younger Christian, blonde, big boob stereotype that he very much, like, every single woman he's dated has fit this exact, like, they're all the same. Um,
The secretary.
there we go. Yes, because that's what it was. Okay, so while we're in Washington, because I need to tell y'all some of this story, because gaslighting motherfucker. Okay, so while we're in Washington, she knew about me because I'd be coming to his work all the damn time. Okay, because I was at home by myself with two kids. There's white shit. I'm from Tucson, Arizona, and he moved me to a place where there's snow. What do we do with this white stuff? Okay. So, and then not only that, I'm from a bigger city, right? Not a big city, but I mean, Tucson's the whole metro area or whatever. I think that we have like 1 million people in like the whole Pima County. Okay. It's a pretty big place. He moved me to a place that has like a population of, I think it was either 3,000 or 6,000 in the winter. And then during the summer has a population of like 30,000 because all of the people come to experience summer from Seattle. Okay. So I'm city girl, y'all. I don't belong in little place. So like my idea of an outing was getting dressed and going to Safeway, which was right by his work. So every time I took the kids to go to Safeway, I would stop by his work. Why? Because he's working 12, 14, 16 hours a day. The only time that I would get to see him and the kids would get to see him is if we drove into his work and said hi. Okay. Well, I would drive up and there was windows right in front of the reception desk because it's a hotel. Okay. So right the reception desk, and I would pull in right there. And he would always be, his desk was up the stairs right above hers. Okay. So like the desk is here, there's some stairs and right here. Okay. But I wouldn't tell him that I was just coming. I would just show up, like surprise him. Hey, just wife shit. Okay. We're swinging by, going to the grocery store. Okay. So I would drive up and he would always be downstairs. Well, that's weird. And then it started getting to where they would always be downstairs. And then when I pulled up, she'd run away. And I'd be like, well, where'd she go? And he'd be like, oh, she had to take towels or something. I'm like, isn't that like housekeeping or, someone else? Oh, well, no, they're busy right now. Okay, cool. Then I'm telling him, okay, I'm catching on. There's something here and I do not fucking like it. She pops up on his Facebook. She's now texting him all of the time at home. He's working 12, 14, 16 hours a day. Okay. I'm not liking this. I am telling you something is happening. Well, he has enough of me assuming, okay, that there's something going on because I'm raising a ruckus. Okay. Because like she's on his Facebook, they're messaging all the time. Why do you need to be this close to your employees? Oh, she's 23, by the way. Our
Oh,
kids were our kids were 19 at the time. Oh, another layer. She was the youth group leader of the local tiny church. Actually,
oh.
it was a little town because in Washington there's like 1 million little towns like
Mm.
okay. So it's like a little town right outside of Chelan. Okay. Well, I start getting told by people, hey, something's going on at Tom's work. Okay. Well, we end up breaking up. Okay. There's a lot that goes into that story, but that's not what we're here for. Finally, I'm like, look, what are we doing? And he's like, you know what? Yes, I want a divorce. Um, you're sick. I don't want to take care of you. You're just riding my coattails. Um, I can't retire and live my best life if, I'm just dragging you along. Okay. Now, mind everybody, I've always had some type of a little job, whether I was babysitting or like I ran an at-home bakery, or, I've always had ways of bringing money in, even when I was a stay-at-home mom. Okay. So I was riding his coattails. I was raising his kids and always finding a way to bring in a little bit. Okay. When I didn't have a career, because the big times I worked at auto shops. Anyways, so I was like an auto shop manager and stuff like that, service manager, blah, blah, blah. So in August, he tells me, yes, let's break up. Let's do this. Well, my clumsy ass ended up falling, and I worked at like a little restaurant that was there. One of the best jobs ever, side note. I sat in the back and I chopped vegetables and made sauce and ate homemade cookies and got high with the staff. It was literally the best fucking job. I loved that. Anyone in Tucson hiring for someone to come and cut up vegetables, let me know. Anyways, let me sit in the back of a kitchen and I'll just leave everybody alone. So, um, where was I?
You said you fell and
Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so
Thank
I
you, Lee.
fell. Yeah, thank you. So I fell and I broke my kneecap for the second time. Like I broke my
Ow.
kneecap right before we moved to Washington. I didn't know I broke it because I never went and got any scans or anything done. The only way that I know that it was broken was when I got the x-rays for this one. They're like, oh, you broke it before? I'm like, oh shit, that's what happened. I guess it was broken. But I tore some shit. My kneecap moved, EDS, and they had to go in and clean up some cartilage and stuff because it was poking. So I needed to have a surgery done. But because it was workman's comp, I had to stay in Washington, and I had to stay in Washington. We had a 3-story house. Okay.
That's me right now.
Oh, and like, is yours like tiny but tall?
Mine isn't tiny, but it is tall.
Like,
So it's actually 4 stories, including the
yes.
basement. And my bedroom is in the attic.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to
So,
send you pictures of what our house looked like. But it wasn't, I'm used to houses here being more spread out, even if they are 2 stories. It just seemed like a little tiny house, but it was 4 stories because there was an attic and then
mhm,
and then a finished basement
mhm.
that had access to outside and everything. Anyways, so he decides that he's going to move downstairs. Okay. I'm not the attic, one underneath that. Okay. The kids and I up there with our bedrooms, and then underneath us is the kitchen living room. So, but downstairs he has a bathroom and except for kitchen and living room. But no, I had a living room actually. It did have a living room. Had a living room, bathroom, and a bedroom. So he stayed down there. Well, he like wasn't ever coming home. Um, he was coming home drunk all the time. Come to find out, he's sitting at this local bar or local park with one of his other coworkers who ends up being his roommate later, um, getting drunk. Oh, he was underage, by the way. So he was contributing to the delinquency of a minor.
Oh,
And
the coworker was underage?
yes,
Oh,
yes,
terrible.
yes. So he ended up moving down to Tucson from Washington, and like they lived with my daughters, and yeah. Anyways, so he never comes home, blah blah blah. Well, I end up finding someone that, so I end up having to stay till October. Okay. October 5th, 6th. Oh, that's a good thing I'm remembering that I'm forgetting this stuff, because I used to be like on the dot. This tells me it's getting out of my memory. It's going away. So October 5th or 6th was when I left. I had the surgery late September. So I had an old friend. That's a whole other story. I had an old friend that volunteered to drive the U-Haul and my 4Runner down because he had a CDL and stuff. So like I trusted him to be able to drive the stuff. Okay. Because he wasn't going to mess up his driver's license, So anyway, so he drives up. This whole time he's swearing that there's no affair. Okay. He's not seeing anybody. There's nothing between them. Meanwhile, I've never had like the proof. Okay. But I knew, right? All the signs were there, but they were like the little check marks of like not coming home, check, spending weird money, check, just stuff, all of the check marks, but nothing that was like, this is what it is. Okay. The night before I go to leave in the morning, a friend came in on plane. He's now staying all the way in the basement because my ass, I'm genius, I asked him because I very much still loved him. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I asked him, I was like, can we have one more night together? Not sex, just sleep in the same bed. I'm leaving tomorrow with, the girls had already left, but I flew them home. Okay. So the girls came home to Tucson with me. I guess that's an important part. First of all, they came home because he was having an affair. He wanted to go live his best life with his 23-year-old girlfriend. Well, we go to bed, and he had like an extra, because the bed I was taking, because it was a sleep number bed and I have a worse body, so I was taking it. He pulled the spare bed up into the bedroom and he was using that, and it wasn't a comfortable bed, so he put like an extra milk crate or something on it. Well, at first we were sleeping like on our normal sides of the bed, so we had our phone set up on the normal side of the bed. Well, when we tried like going to sleep, I couldn't, because like the way the milk crates and stuff were, it was just really uncomfortable. We're like, he was already asleep when I asked if we could switch. He's like, yeah, fine. So we switch. Well, at like, I don't know, 2:00 in the morning, his phone goes, bzz, bzz. Okay. It's sitting right next to me. Okay. And I'm like, he doesn't move. I'm like, oh shit. So I take and of course, grab it off into the bathroom. He had recently changed his password on his phone, but I had side-eyed that shit and saw what the new one was. That's what we do.
It's not that hard. No.
No, especially when it was all threes, you guys. It was 33, 30. Okay. So just handing it out, right? So I get in there, and there's this entire text from her, and it's all of their other messages were deleted. Nothing was in there. Okay. But there's this entire text message that's like, I'm sorry I ever got involved with you the way that I did, because you're my boss. You're ruining my life. Because did I freak out? Yes. Did I call her while at work and ask her if she enjoyed fucking my husband? Yes. Did I take it upon myself to call the church to let them know that their youth group minister was an adulteress? Also, yes. Come to find out, oh yeah, that's her family's church. Okay. So they all get together and they go, oh, hey, Ember doesn't like getting in trouble with the law, so we're going to threaten her with restraining orders. Okay. If you contact her again, then we're going to get a restraining order. And the church family is going, well, we're being told that he's the one that's causing the problems. He's the one that's like manipulating. Okay, he's the problem. Okay, well, I'm in a narcissistic, like, not necessarily. My trauma bond is being jeopardized right now, right? Like, I had been in a 16-year relationship with this addiction. Okay, because that's what narcissists, we become addicted. So I'm in a 16-year addiction, and all of a sudden he's trying to rip this shit apart. And this bitch is the one that's like, rah, okay. Now looking back,
It's him,
y'all,
not,
she
yeah.
100%. Like, I've actually heard conversations. I actually reached out to her and I was like, I'm sorry. However, girl, you knew. Like,
Yeah.
you knew. But I guess he was doing the whole, we're getting divorced anyways. Saying
Before
that
you
we were
even were.
right, saying that we had all these problems and he was miserable at home, but yet everybody else was like, oh my God, you guys have like the perfect relationship, because on the outside it looked like that, right? But to this girl, he was miserable. So anyways, he gaslights the fuck out of him. He's like, yeah, well, that was us breaking up. Oh, so anyways, I sometimes you got to be smarter than the man. Okay, so I take and I copy and paste and I send it to my phone, delete it out of his sent messages. Okay, because my thing is I'm not going to say anything to him. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to say something in the morning. It didn't work, you guys. It didn't work. No, I definitely said something. Okay, so I went into the bedroom. I don't hold my mouth very well at all. Okay, so I went in the bedroom and I put his phone back and I took and I copied it and I pasted it into my notes. Okay, I had a feeling that I needed it elsewhere. Well, I ended up accidentally waking him up. And I was like, would you like to explain what this is? And he's like, ah, okay. Well, next thing you know, we're in a physical tuffle. Like, he is literally like, I have pictures where I have bruises where he's like grabbing me. I had just had knee surgery, so my entire leg is in like the hinged, but it's locked so it can't be hinged brace, because I had knee surgery and I had to keep it straight. So I'm completely locked in, right? This man's like tuffling me around right after I had fucking knee surgery, grabbing me, like throwing me around. Well, my friend's all the way down in the basement. He didn't know what had happened. He heard some stuff and he thought that we were like moving stuff around because there wasn't like yelling. I don't know why, but I didn't yell. I should have. No, at the time that person would have killed him. Anyways, so all because he's trying to get it and delete it out of my phone. Okay, finally he gets my phone away from me, deletes it. The shit was in my notes. So I still had it. Well, on the way home the next day, I end up telling my friends, hey, did you hear that? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, that motherfucker was like throwing me around. He's like, what the fuck? And then he went off. Well, that guy ended up being a stalker. It was yeah, that was a real bad situation, but he got me home safe. So he served his purpose. Because nobody else was stepping up to drive me home. And it was my right knee that I had surgery on. And there's no way I could drive a big old Penske truck and my U-Haul and my 4Runner. There's no way. So my kids are at home with me in Tucson. I am living in my mom and dad's guest house in their backyard. Well, if you guys remember from the last episode, bad situation there as well. So my mom and dad, they're, taking care of the foster kids. They're abusers, blah, 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 all the things. Well, Tom, they have a gnat that just tried to attack my face. So the relationship with the fair ends up not working because I guess I'm causing too much drama in his life.
How dare you?
How dare I? How dare I? Because, y'all, I freaked the fuck out.
I would have too.
I did. I was not like the calm, cool, collected. Like, I am calling everybody. Let's not also forget, this is in 2016. How old am I? Like, this is before therapy. Like, I was a hot fucking mess. Okay. I was mess. I had zero emotional control. Like it was 0 to 100 in like seconds. My suicidal ideation was constant. Like it was just bad. So girls and I are home. Okay. I'm getting the girls going in school every single night. I'm trying to get him on the phone with the kids, and the kids are like, yeah, we don't want to talk to him. But you just say hi to your dad. Okay. Well, we came home October 5th, 6th, or I came home October
I
5th,
just,
something like that.
for a second, I just want to say it already shows the difference right there of you trying to get them on the phone with their dad, even if they don't want to talk to him, because they'll regret it in the future if they don't talk to him, and
Correct.
you'll look terrible if you don't get them to talk to him, where what he goes on to do later and what he was already doing.
Right. Well, there's more to it. Like he was like being an asshole to the kids. Well, the kids were already going through this huge separation. Okay. Shannon, my youngest, she's attached to my hip. Her and I have always had just, we love our kids the same, but I think that our energies and bond are different with each kid, right? They're different personalities. We're different personalities. It's just normal. I love my kids all the fucking same. You're just the cutest dog. I would die for every single one of them, right? But Shannon and I have always just had that little, she's the baby. Okay, she's the baby. So there's more to it than just being the baby, because I'm the baby and I was clearly not the favorite. So so her and I were great. Okay, she missed her dad, but I think that she was more upset that I was sad about everything that was going on. Okay. Middle one, not fucking doing well at all. Okay. She's on the very, very, very smart, gifted side. Always just school is easy for her. Okay. In that aspect, like she's always just pick things up easy. She didn't get that from me. I'm not like that. That's not me at all. So like she's off at college right now wanting to be an OBGYN. Okay, like she's doing the shit. Okay, me, I'm like dropped out of high school. That's fun. So he comes, I end up dating dude that came up to Washington that saved me. Okay. The one that ended up being like a stalker. Okay. Literally, he admitted that he used to stalk me at work before I moved up to Washington. Like, yes. So I've been through some shit. So
he kind of
Tom,
orchestrated you dating
yes,
before it even happened. Yeah.
Once he found out that, because we never talked, but I used to send like funny filters to one of my old bosses, like the dog face or whatever. And then he was like, hey, look who I found. And the dude was one of the vendors that vended all the auto shops that I worked at. He recycled all of like the oils, the chemicals, that type of thing, supplied us with new. So he was the driver for a lot of the shops that I worked at. So we always just, every time I'd go to a new shop, like, there you are again. So we had that, like, I know you because I was the manager that signed off thing. Okay. And I banter. I'm a banter person. I banter. I talk. And it comes across, of course, to the flirties, to the boys. Okay. Because I'm being nice. God forbid a girl be nice and it not be flirting. So, anyways, he comes up with this whole thing because apparently at one point I told him that I was a very happily married woman, thinking that he was flirting on me. And that was code word for I'm actually not happy. I'm overemphasizing. Okay. So that's when he set his little fucking radars on me. I was like, oh, she's not actually happy. He told me this. Okay. Like he admitted that this is what he did. So him and I, because during the breakup time, he starts saying things like, anyone be lucky to wipe the gum you spit out of your mouth onto the bottom of their shoe. Like, and I'm getting broke up with by a narcissist. So I'm like, someone love me. Okay. And let's not forget, I was codependent as fuck. Okay. How am I going to take care of myself? I need someone to take care of me. Clearly, I can't do this on my own because I came from not a strong mom. I don't have a strong, independent mom. I have a mom that's codependent on my dad. So I never had that, like, women can do this too. I didn't know that I was taught we get married and the mans do this. Like, that's how we do it, you know?
We get the
And
MRS degree.
that's what we do. I mean, my mom worked too, but a lot of the time she was a stay-at-home mom / she got paid for the foster kids I took care of. So this dude and I don't want to bring his name to it because I don't he's crazy. And if he hears, like, because they end up talking at one point. Okay. So if he, Tom found out that him and I will started dating. Okay. And he didn't like that. Like, he was allowed to have a girlfriend while we were married and still living in the same house. But after we were separated and no longer together, I was not allowed to have a boyfriend. Why was I moving on so fast? So then he goes, clearly your mom was having an affair because she's already dating this dude. Not going, your mom's codependent as fuck and she's just gonna bounce from guy to guy because she doesn't know that she can't be loved, right? Like, so he paints this whole picture of, like, I was the one having the affair and I was the one causing problems. Who's the one that's been single now for forever? Anyways, so everything fails up there. Okay, now back and forth, we were doing this whole I miss you, blah blah blah. I find out he's doing the same thing with this girl. Okay, so I'm like, finally, we're done. Okay, you're not going to be playing us back and forth. That motherfucker packs up and moves back to Tucson. Oh no, hold on. November comes around. Okay, he is still with this bitch, which I shouldn't say that, right? Like, she knew, you guys. Like, I still can't get past it. So, anyways, because I don't know, like, the girls that do it, like, on purpose, like, if you didn't know, like, I
Oh,
ain't gonna
that's
be
totally
mad,
different. Yeah.
It's
right?
totally
But
different.
like, your wife and kids would come in and you would run away because you knew you were banging the husband. What? Okay. So, like, there's just an extra layer that I can't get past. So, like, anyways, so November, he comes down for Thanksgiving to see his mom. He asks for times with the girls, and I'm like, absolutely. During this time with the girls, he sets it up so that my middle one, let me think how to word this because I don't have full disclosure of that one. She was struggling with mental health issues due to everything that was going on.
Anyone would, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
She had to spend some time at the mental hospital, I guess. I mean, I've gone there, no shame. But anyways,
Grippy sock vacations.
right, exactly. So she had to stay there, and that was before he came down to visit. So when he came down to visit, they sat me down, and it was, if you don't let me go back with dad, I'm gonna off myself. Okay. I had just got done bringing my baby out of the hospital because she like did some, okay. Now I'm hearing, if you make me stay here, I'm gonna keep going and it may be final. So in everything that's going on, the only feasible thing for me was to let them go because he's a good dad, right? He's not going to take my kids from me. He's not going to make it so that I never get to talk to them. We talked and we were going to do airplane trips back and forth. And I was going to be able to talk to them every night like I did for him. Like, this shit it was going to be okay. Like, it was like a year plan. We were going to do some therapy. We were going to, right? Like, we were going to co-parent. Okay. So I let them fly back to Washington with him. I basically never heard from them again. Every single night that I would try to call, they didn't want to talk to me. So, I would like to add the youngest did not want to go. The youngest was basically bullied into going. And she also wanted to be with her sister.
Yeah,
Um,
that's hard.
right, because her and her sister
Yeah.
that's the other part, used to be very close. Um, so from November of 2016 all the way until January of 2023, I was a childless mother. So the process of parental, there's different categories of parental, not like names for them, but like there's different severities. Okay.
Mhm.
So mine is the type where we go from, I was a good, loving, yes, I needed therapy, but I wasn't like abusive. Like they may see things that happened as abuse. Absolutely, because this was, again, pre-therapy. I was raised by a narcissist, so I was very much copy and paste and I just did what they did because I didn't have the resources. I also didn't seek the resources out. All of that has changed, and I have grown into a very different type of mom. But nonetheless, no resources. So in November, all of that's terrible. From November until February, no communication, none of that. Well, he comes back and he decides that in February, moving from he ditched his U-Haul. Anyways, they decide to move from Washington back to Tucson in February. He moved in with his mom. So when they moved back, he was trying to do the let's get back together thing. Well, I had started befriending on a different level my friend that I talked about in the last episode that I called
Mhm.
Scott. His name is actually David. So that's when I started seeing David like in a different way, right? So like the Tom doing the get back together with me thing wasn't working because like I was like,
Mhm.
but I have David over here. Okay. I would go over to his house to visit my kids. Um and one day before I went over to visit my kids, because he was trying to get me back during this time, okay, one of our mutual friends, someone that he had worked with, hired. Um, we stayed friends, okay. And I told her about what was going on, and she's like, we should talk. Okay. So I go to have lunch with her. Well, at this lunch, I tell her, I'm so fucking torn. You know, narcissistic, do I love bombing stuff was happening. So I was like, do I go back? What do I do? He took my kids before. Like, is it gonna happen? But now he's in Tucson, so he can't take my kids now. Well, yes, he did. So she's like, well, I have to tell you. She's like, the night of your guys' going away party, when you were moving to Washington, he flirted with me. She was like, he used to be inappropriate at work. He would flirt with me there. She's like, but this was a very obvious. He said, I wish that something could have happened between you and I, but I'm moving now, so it can't. Something along the lines of, well, oh no, she had a boyfriend at the time. So he was like, well, if he wasn't here. So she tells me about this. Okay. So I go to visit my girls afterwards. I was very proud of myself. I was being very calm, cool, collect, actually. Um, I go to walk in, and my kids are at the door, and I'm like, hey. And they're like, hey. I'm like, I really want to see you guys, but I need to talk to your dad real quick. So let me go do this, and then I'll come in and I'll hang out with you guys. Well, right after I was hanging out with them, I was going to go to a car event with David. Okay. So I looked pretty. Okay, I looked pretty. So I had just got my hair dyed, like I was looking good. So I go to walk in the door and he's like, "Hey, baby." And I'm like, Skirch was on the hey, baby stuff. So I walk in and it was right off of the living room was the bedroom that he was staying in. So we go to walk in there and he goes to sit down on the couch next to me. And I'm like, no, you can stay over there. And he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, I just had lunch with a mutual friend of ours. And they told me you flirted with somebody at our going away party. And his face went blank and he said her name. And I was like, guilty. You fucking knew who it was. And then he starts doing but you need to let me explain. You need to let me explain. I'm like, no, 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 no. We're explaining nothing. That was enough for me. We are good here, folks. And he starts escalating and I'm escalating, okay, because I don't control my emotions at this point. And now he has it to where my dog farted. Gross. Now he has it so that he's standing in front of the door and he's not letting me out. Okay. Well, I finally I'm screaming. The girls on the other side of the door, and I'm like, just let me leave. Like, just let me out. Let me leave. Well, he won't let me leave. So I think I poured water on him at some point. But anyways, I reached out and I slapped him on his neck. Because he was standing in front of the door and he would not let me leave. And he goes, you hit me. 911. Okay. Cops come. He's calm, cool, collect. Ooh, calm as a fucking cucumber. Okay. Me, tiny, redhead, spazzy, no emotional control. Okay. So then the cops are like, well, obviously you're the problem here because you're the one that's escalating. So who gets hauled off to jail? Hey, yo. Okay. In that mix, I end up having to go to diversion classes, parenting classes, random drug tests. But I've never even had a
When it wasn't even anything to do with drugs.
Right. Well, no, he told them that I had a drug problem.
Oh, nice. Of course.
Yeah.
Every ex has a drug problem.
Well, I did though. Like
oh,
back
you did? Okay.
Yeah, like back in 2012.
Oh, before, like way before.
Right. And
Yeah.
he was like, she's probably on drugs. So I end up having to go through this. Okay. Well, this creates I can't see my girls for the entire year that I'm going through this diversion program. Like I was saying, you guys, I've never even had like a speeding ticket. Like I have no speeding tickets. I had no detention in school. Like I'm a good girl. Like I hate that. Are you a good girl? Anyways, I'm a good girl. Okay. As I stomp my fucking foot like a toddler. So during that time, he meets Kelly. Okay. As the end of this probation thing rolls around, okay, I am able to start reaching out to the children again. Well, naturally, by this time, there's a year of divide of no communication to my children. He had a year to tell them, no, she could come see you. She just doesn't want to. Okay. So he's painting the picture of she chose to go party. She obviously doesn't want this life. She doesn't want this life, not telling them that I can't, not telling them that it's okay. Because during this, they made it so that I couldn't even post about my kids on social media. I couldn't talk about being a mom. Like they completely took my voice away for that year. Okay. Well, it was 2009. Okay. There was like that year, then there was some time. 2019 rolls around. There's time missing, but I don't remember it because of trauma. I don't remember the dates during that time. I survived. We're here, folks. Okay. Like that's basically it. 2019 Mother's Day goes to roll around. No, 2018 Mother's Day goes to roll around. Yes, because it was the year and then some time. Yes. So I'm a fucking mess. I don't have my kids. My kids don't want to see me. Uh, whatever. Okay. So I end up in Grippy Sock vacation lands. During this time, he is, I guess, dating someone, and he finds it necessary to call me. Um, I don't know why I gave him the passcode because of the kids, I think. I think for security reasons, I gave him the passcode how to get a hold of me in case he needed it because court shit, right? Well, he calls me while I'm in there over Mother's Day, wanting to no longer live because I don't have my children, to tell me that he's taking our girls to go meet his new girlfriend on Mother's Day. Yes. But it didn't stop there. It was, you know, she's going to be a great new mom, like really painting the picture that I'm being replaced. Okay. Well, I get out of Grippy Sock Hotel, and I try to reach out to her. I'm like, look, this isn't like what you think it is. Okay. I have since learned we don't tell the new supplies what's happening. Um, they've already painted you as the monster. They've already said all the lies. They're prepared that you're going to be calling them. They're prepared that you're going to look crazy. Like they've already been like, oh, she's probably going to call you too. Oh yeah, she's probably going to tell you that this happened, but that's not what happened. This is what actually happened, right? Like they have it all planned out. They, as in the narcissist. So she reaches out to me and she's like, I'm ready to listen now. I want to know everything. And then I want to help you mend your relationship with your girls. Okay. I am fully dating David by this time. Kelly ends up telling me that she is going to play Tom and I. Okay. She sees what is happening and she is going to help me get my girls back. So I start fucking spilling it with Tom. Okay. I'm a trusting person at this time because I haven't realized I've been narcissistic abused by one and then groomed and narcissistic abused by the next. Right. So like I haven't lost my trust in people quite yet. Like I'm over trusting. So I just start spilling, okay, telling her everything. Well, little do I know that they're just creating ammunition. They just are creating ammunition. Well, I end up filing to get visitation, like the visitation with my kids. Okay, so I start this whole parental alienation thing. This woman ends up playing the side so hard that she ends up showing up in court saying that they have a relationship and that like I'm this horrible person and I've been crazy. Well, the way that they were able to get this worked out is in August, okay, May, all of this shit happens. I'm filing in court, blah, blah, blah. My kids start school in August. Beginning. Yes, the beginning of August. At this time, there was one went to junior high, one went off to high school. So there's two different bus times. Well, I'm trying to get my way back into their life, okay, because she's facilitating this. So I'm weaseling my way or trying to weasel my way into their life with her facilitating it from the background, you know, pretending to like Tom, but actually being in it for me, as she says, well, really, no. So we're sitting there. Oh, no, I show up and I say goodbye to one kid. And then I'm like, all right, cool. I'll be back in like an hour and a half or whatever it was. I'm not come back to say goodbye to the other. Come back, say goodbye to the other. And then I'm out of my car at this time. And when I'm getting ready to leave, I'm like, hey, while I'm here, is there any way that I can say hi to Doofus? Well, Doofus was our Great Dane. He was like 12 at this time. Okay. And he was like, well, of course you can, but you have to come in the backyard. Well, I didn't trust him because he's already put me in a position where I couldn't get out of there, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not coming into your house. And he's like, well, that's really the only way that you can. I'm like, just bring him out here. And he's like, I can't do that. He's like, you just have to come back here. Fine. So I went around the side gate. Okay. Wasn't going into his house. Went around the side gate, go back there. This dog couldn't even stand. He was so old. He skin and bones. Like he needed to be put down like, I don't know, 3 months ago or more. And I'm like, what are you doing to this dog? And he was like, it was the last piece of us that I was holding on to. I I couldn't say goodbye without you being here. I'm like, fine. I said, make the appointment. I will be here. Okay. That was on a Tuesday. We communicate, and he's like, okay, I have someone coming over on Thursday morning. I said, great. I will be there tomorrow to come see the girls because we're trying to reunify us from the couple of years that we had. This was like year 2.5, 3 at this point because of the probation and everything. Okay. So he's like, so I was coming over to see the girls, and I'm like, and I will say, have a last night with Doofus too. And then I will come over on Thursday morning. We will put Doofus down. This is where it gets gross. So I go to come over on Wednesday, and my son's motorcycle is there. Well, that's weird. So I go to walk in the house. Okay. During this entire time, Kelly's nothing with him. Okay. Nothing like that. I knock on the door, and I'm like, hey, and he's like, hey, and I see the girls on the couch, and I'm like, I just want to go to the backyard to see Doofus for a little bit, and then, I'll hang out with the girls. And he's like, I actually want to talk to you. And I'm like, talk to me. And I see the girls, and I'm like, okay. And he's like, can you come in for a second? I'm like, I don't trust being in your house, but my girls are right there. Okay. I don't see my son anywhere, but I forgot about his bike being there at this time because he drives a motorcycle. And I go, okay. And I go inside and I take a few steps. And as I take a few steps, I hear footsteps coming down the stairs, and I look up. There's that bitch. Kelly comes walking down the steps, and she has a gun on her hip because she's a gun-toting Christian God-fearing woman. Of course she is. The Christian blondes are his, type. So anyways, she comes walking down the steps, and she has it so that I could see the gun on the holster on her hip. And she's sitting there now, and she's like tapping the gun. Okay. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, well, I'm just here to tell you, I'm the girls' mom now. You are no longer needed. Tomorrow when we put Doofus down, there's really no reason for you to be here. And I'm like, Tom, what are you doing? I'm like, why? What are you? And she's like, well, he's my dog. And I'm like, bitch, please, like, no. Okay. So she starts just going off like she's mom now. She runs the coop now while tapping the gun. Next thing I know, my PTSD, my stress, I'm not doing well. Okay. So I go and I'm like, I step outside. I need to call my boyfriend, David. Okay. Go outside, and I'm like, you need to get over here. This is going on. By the time I go to walk down the driveway, I'm now having a grand mal seizure in the driveway. Okay. From what I've been told, he shuts the door, and everybody goes to the closest window so that they can point and laugh while I have a grand mal seizure in the driveway. My daughter talks about that experience to this day. Traumatized. Remember, we're really close. No matter how much he tried to separate, she always knew, like, in her gut, she fucking loved me, right? So, like, watching me have to have that seizure with no help fucking killed her. Let's not forget, he asked my son to come over so he could watch this entire thing. I found out the entire thing was being recorded, video recorded. Okay. I go home. I'm not okay because I have a grand mal seizure, so I'm out of it. When you have a seizure, you're exhausted in a space cadet. I don't remember any of this. Wake up the next morning, okay? Mind you, I'm struggling really bad with my suicidal ideation. I end up spouting some text messages off that's like, well, if you guys want me dead, that's what I'm going to have, because that entire situation was entirely triggering. Did I respond the way I should? No, 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 no. But again, that was pre-therapy me. So I didn't respond well at all. Well, the way that I responded and everything that happened, Tom and Kelly were able to take it and go to court and get a restraining order on me, which created another year of me not being able to be around the kids. Okay. In court, she sat on the stand being a good Christian, God-fearing woman, swearing that they had a relationship and that they were together. My kids will tell you to this day that nope, they were never together. It was 100% a ploy in order to create this restraining order, because he wanted to create that I was crazy. He did. It worked. To be able to use that information against me. So from 2019 all the way until 2020 COVID times, there was another restraining order. Because remember, he was able to get it because there was already one DV, right? So there was history now of me being the crazy one. So we made it all the way through COVID, everything like that. During that time, it was, I didn't want to see the kids. I wasn't trying, none of that. Yet he was never saying your mom's trying, like nothing. It was always that I had given up and stuff like that. He had created the narrative of I was unsafe, I was dangerous. My kids were telling me all the time that. So it went from literally one day of me being a good, loving, us having a good relationship, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
To the next day, I was dangerous. They hated me. No one loved me 100%. So my children were stolen from me from November until I want to say it was December of 2020. Yes, it was December of 2020. I was standing in the kitchen and I received a random text message from my youngest that said, I know it from heart. It says, I know you're probably really busy. I just wanted to say that I was sorry for being so mean to you. Um, and maybe we could hang out sometime. Now, during this time that I had been fighting for my kids, the courts made it impossible, basically. I was allowed 1 2 hour visit once a month with my children for reunification purposes. I had to fight for them to approve therapy. Therapy wasn't necessarily going to work anyways, but I was hoping that a professional was going to see what was happening.
Mhm.
Um,
Like family therapy.
yes, I was trying to do like reunification, like the girls
Mhm.
needed their therapy, then the girls and I would have therapy together, was what I was trying to do. But he used therapy against the girls.
Of course.
So he used it in court and everything else. So they completely lost their trust with any of the therapy systems because like people were getting records. I was having to grab records and stuff too so that I could prove things and everything else because you guys, he was doing some shady ass shit in order, like, I'm pretty sure he befriended someone at the therapy office and was getting information that he shouldn't have had because like the caseworker was saying shit and I was like, excuse me, huh? Um, yeah. So therapy wasn't necessarily going to work anyways, but I'm drawing it like I was
You were
reaching for
trying anything you could.
anything that I possibly could because my kids hate me and I'm fighting for them. I needed a therapist to be like, but why do you hate her?
Mhm.
Like, explain how this happened because I never did anything to create what was happening. Like, my ex husband, when all of this started, like he busted into all of my social media accounts, and then him and my son, like he dragged my son into this and was like, your mom's such a bad mom, and was like sharing all of this stuff that I was talking about my friends with on social media, like personal DMs and everything else. Oh yeah, creating like these stories about me like out hoeing around, which y'all hoeing around, that's your thing, but like while I was married is the thing.
Yeah.
So like he was saying shit like that. Well, it was him the entire time that was having affairs and doing all of these things. So since December of 2020, it has taken years, very slow processing. But from December of 2020 to January of 23, my youngest and I repaired our relationship enough that she actually moved in with me, January of 23. And she's doing amazing. But the stories that I've heard about the things that these kids have had to endure, during I was away, right? Like, and there was court orders that like he was supposed to, like, if he took the kids out of state, he had to tell me. He didn't tell me once, and he took them out of state several times. Um, there was just so many things, like he didn't follow not a one court order. And he still doesn't. Like, I know he's gone on vacation. He hasn't told me in the court paperwork who, even if you're don't have the kid with you, you're supposed to tell the other parent, hey,
For
I'm
safety. Yeah.
leaving. Not once. Um, and then like he would laugh about it with the kids and be like, oh, your mom doesn't even know you're here. Like it was funny to break the law, basically.
But if he even perceives you as breaking the law, then you lose all of your rights.
Right, exactly. But that's I still follow the laws, even though I know she's going to be 18. That how scared I am that he's going to try to pull that shit from me on the last fucking, you know what I mean? She wouldn't
Yeah.
go nowhere.
Yeah.
But it's still
scary, and it's still a trigger and a trauma.
the PTSD of court, actually, from especially losing every single, I mean, I went in there with recordings, I went in there with every single type of evidence that you could imagine. I had people that he worked with that were like, yeah, this shit, like this is what we experienced, like this guy's not good. Nothing worked. And that was because I believe, one, I was profiled, dyed red hair, tattoos, right? Like I have that look. And he would go in there with his very well put together self because he works at a hotel. So, suit, shit like that, with his very Christian, put together fake girlfriend that was testifying to be real girlfriend. And they were able to just paint me as like this entire monster. And so they used the family court to help alienate the kids. And people are always like, well, take them to court. First of all, y'all don't understand what is happening right now.
If you guys are on audio, all the animals, I think they could feel it. They could feel.
I have the house horse in my face, which is the 130-pound Great Dane. And then I have
the cat.
That thing. Yeah. The cat all trying to climb up on the chair behind me. All at once, too. Yeah,
that was funny.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, Lee here. Pardon the interruption, but we did run a little bit long, so join us next week for part 2.